Hello everyone, this is Showtime 112. F-8 Crusader units played a crucial role in Operation Rolling Thunder, primarily flying fighter escort missions for Navy Alpha strikes. Initially, Crusader pilots struggled to engage enemy fighters. They rarely made contact. This was largely because North Vietnamese MiG pilots preferred to target the bombers directly and avoided the Crusaders. However, when the Crusaders began flying closer to the bomber formations and blending in, attempting to mimic A4 Skyhawks, encounters with MiGs quickly increased. Earlier dogfights with MiGs have already been covered on this channel. Check the video links in the description or the Vietnam playlist for more details. Commander Richard Bellinger, known as Dick or Belly, was the executive officer of VF-162 and found the lack of success during the 1965 combat cruise frustrating. A colorful character, Bellinger started his career in World War II flying US Army Air Force bombers. Unusually, after the war, he switched to the US Navy and flew combat missions in Korea as well. Now flying combat in his third war, Bellinger noticed a pattern. North Vietnamese pilots often attacked the rear flight of an Alpha strike package during egress. On July 14, 1966, Bellinger led a flight of 3 F-8 Crusaders on combat air patrol during a strike against a fuel storage depot at Nam Dinh, near Hanoi. His wingman was Lieutenant Richard Wyman. Number 3 was Lieutenant Chuck Tinker, whose wingman remained on Oriskany due to the failure of both catapults. The 3 Crusaders flew as extra Skyhawks at the end of the formation, hoping to lure out the MiGs. The weather was poor, forcing them to fly between cloud decks. The North Vietnamese 923rd Fighter Regiment scrambled 2 MiG-17 pilots, Lê Quang Trung and No Duc Mai, at 11 o'clock. The Crusader flight was warned by the red crown of MiGs approaching from below. Bellinger, Wyman, and Tinker lit their afterburners and plunged into the undercast, searching for the enemy. Suddenly, a MiG appeared directly ahead. Bellinger performed a hard maneuver to avoid collision, while Wyman slowed to stay behind the MiG. Wyman witnessed Tinker overshoot the MiG. To make things worse, Tinker had accidentally unplugged his headset, losing radio contact. A second MiG then appeared behind Wyman. Tinker tried to assist, but lost sight of it in clouds. All 5 aircraft then engaged in a chaotic dogfight, eventually resulting in a Luftsperre-circled tail chase with decreasing altitude. You know, diving into the history of military aviation during the Vietnam War, tracking the split-second decisions, the craft of the F-8 Crusaders dogfighting with nimble MiGs, makes you appreciate just how much knowledge, teamwork, and ingenuity go into building not just planes, but entire systems behind them. It's wild to think. Every bit of that, radar technology, synthesized fuel, even just the structure of command, hinges on centuries of accumulated human discovery. And that actually reminds me of something fascinating I've been flipping through lately. It's called the book, The Ultimate Guide to Rebuilding a Civilization. If you love seeing how seemingly simple inventions make the complex possible, this is an absolute treat. It's not some dry survival manual. Instead, it's a beautifully illustrated journey, like a medieval manuscript crossed with steampunk art, packed with clever stories and wild, did-you-know moments. What really surprised me is how much the book celebrates the joy of creativity of human invention, from making glass out of sand and brewing penicillin from scratch, to recreating ancient rituals and games that shaped entire societies. The pages are full of visual surprises. It feels more like wandering through an illuminated museum than reading a textbook. For me, the biggest insight was realizing how every tiny practical advance, From fashioning paper to designing watermills, lays the groundwork for everything. Even the high tech of jet age warfare featured in today's video. There's something inspiring about seeing the bare essentials of civilization mapped out, and suddenly understanding how fragile, yet ingenious, our world actually is. If you've ever wondered how we could rebuild, or you just love a good deep dive into creativity and history, I really recommend checking it out. You can find the book by clicking the link in video description or pinned comment and get a 10% discount. Whether you're a history buff, a fan of inventive art, or just looking for something truly different for your library, it's worth a look. And now, let's get back to the skies over Vietnam. Lieutenant Wyman fired a short burst at a MiG, believing he scored hits, but his guns soon jammed. He then launched a Sidewinder missile, which missed. The Crusader's famed cannons proved unreliable under high G conditions, and Sidewinders were ineffective in low-level, tight-turn battles. Bellinger attempted a high yo-yo attack, but No Duk Mai cut inside and struck Bellinger's Crusader. He lost part of his tail and suffered hydraulic damage, but escaped into cloud cover. Escorted by Wyman, Bellinger diverted to Da Nang, hoping to land his damaged F-8 there. Flying at just 225 knots and hiding in the clouds, he was unable to refuel in air and eventually ejected over water near Da Nang. Wyman chased off Vietnamese junks trying to capture Bellinger until a helicopter rescued him. Bellinger found this chance for revenge on October 9, leading a flight escorting 24 Skyhawks from Intrepid on an early strike against a bridge at Phu Lai, south of Hanoi. They orbited at low altitude, waiting for radar reports. An E-1B tracer warning brought news of MiGs 40 miles out. The North Vietnamese retaliated swiftly, launching two MiG-21s from the 921st Fighter Regiment, flown by Pham Thanh Nang and Nguyen Van Minh. Armed differently, the leader had R-3S missiles, the wingman rocket pods. Shortly after takeoff, Nguyen Van Minh reported enemy aircraft. The MiG leader turned hard for attack. When he prepared to fire a missile on a trailing F-4, his wingman unexpectedly attacked with rockets. Pham Thanh Nang turned away to cover his wingman's attack, and then heard him shout over the radio, "I hit him." This likely downed an F-4B flown by Lieutenant Commander Charles Tanner and Lieutenant Ross Terry from VF-154. The crew was captured after ejection, initially claiming being downed by anti-aircraft fire, but later confessing to being shot down by MiG-21s after 8 hours of torture. Ground control ordered the MiG-21 pair to break off. The leader, unable to see or contact his wingman, returned to base. The MiG-21 wingman recalled being attacked by other F-4s from behind. He turned into the attackers and confronted them head-on. When one of the F-4s accelerated to try to get away, Nguyen Van Minh got on its tail and again launched his unguided rockets from close range. He reported hitting this Phantom as well, and he then turned away towards his airbase. Before he completed the turn, his aircraft suddenly started to shake very hard. Vietnamese sources believe the shooter was none other than Richard Bellinger of VF-162. In this sense, the victory for the Crusader pilot is clearly confirmed. Vietnamese author Dong Sai Hung mentions the second Phantom hit in his book, while Istvan Topercer states Minh was hit immediately after his first claim. Bellinger's description, however, is somewhat different. More dramatic, you might say. Upon hearing about the MiGs, Bellinger and his wingman, Lieutenant Lee Prost, climbed hard from their low-altitude station to engage the reported threat. They spotted a MiG-21 approaching the Skyhawk's Iron Hand flight. Bellinger believed the MiG pilot also spotted them, since he inverted his aircraft and performed a split-ass maneuver. Bellinger followed the MiG and achieved a Sidewinder lock. He fired both of his missiles from an inverted position, as the MiG was in a dive. Sidewinders were not that effective with ground heat in the background. However, one of Bellinger's missiles hit the MiG flown by Nguyen Van Minh. Bellinger pulled up only 200 feet above ground, scoring the US Navy's first confirmed MiG-21 kill and the third of the war. Let us know in the comments what you think of this video and if you want to hear more about the F-8 Crusader in Vietnam. Thanks for watching Showtime 112.